When I think about the ancestors, there are two common themes that have been consistent in my life. The first is the idea of breaking generational curses, which I refer to as patterns. The other is the idea of becoming our ancestors' wildest dreams. Now, both of these come with really good intentions, but they also come with the weight of expectations. We expect that because our descendants are afforded more resources and opportunities, that they'll accomplish and achieve more. I am 4 generations removed from chattel slavery. My maternal great-grandfather was a sharecropper, and most of his life he worked on the same kind of plantations that his parents worked on when they were enslaved as children. I have a fond memory of walking with him to the corner of our street and back when he came to visit us as a child. He had long denim overalls and a wide-brimmed hat. And in 1917, when he signed his World War I draft card, he marked it with an X because he had learned to read but not to write. So, 3 generations later, in 6th grade, when I won a full scholarship to college, well, I was becoming my ancestors' wildest dreams. And my current elders as well. My maternal grandmother completed grade school before she had to work. My mother graduated high school, but I was going to be the first to go to UMass, live on campus, and earn a bachelor's degree for free. Yeah. And it was all good too, until about 4 months into my freshwoman year, when I announced that I was pregnant. Me, the daughter of Brenda, who was a teen mom, who was the daughter of Rosalie, who was a teen mom, who was the daughter of Ines, who was a teen mom, who was the daughter of Rosa, who was a teen mom. By becoming a 5th generation teen mom, I was repeating a pattern, becoming a stereotype, perpetuating a statistic. At least that's how I was made to feel. I was asked rhetorical questions like, are you sure you're gonna keep it? I was told things like, you'll never graduate, you won't finish now, you have ruined your life. Well, my bruised ego and pride said, watch this. And I had my son on August 1st. And 3 weeks later, I was back in classroom starting my sophomore year and a job 2 hours after that. It took a lot of sleepless nights and tears that I never let anybody see, and the support of that village who immediately fell in love with my son the moment he was born. But I did it. I earned my bachelor's degree, and I became my ancestors' wildest dreams. But I didn't feel like it, because see, those messages, I had interpreted them differently. They became seeped into my subconscious, and they played on repeat like your least favorite song. And those messages I had interpreted back when I was 19 started to sound like you should feel ashamed, that you need to do better, and that because you need to do better, then that means that you're not already good enough. You got to become more than a statistic, more than a stereotype. You have to become more than just a single mother. You need to become your ancestors' wildest dreams. And so in order to do that, I made choices like buying a house before I turned 30, going back and getting my master's degree, signing up for a PhD program, and then seeing my impending nuptials as the ultimate pinnacle of success. I was not a single black mother. I was going to become my ancestors' wildest dreams. The older I got, the more the weight of those expectations began to weigh me down. They got heavy. So heavy that I passed them on to my firstborn son. And so when he came to me to tell me that he was going to become a parent, I thought, I had him at 19, my mother had me at 19, and now he was going to become a dad at 19. There goes that generational pattern. I didn't break it, And it was my fault because I was a teen mom, and that's what I was supposed to do. That's what internalized shame makes us do. Turns out I had it all wrong. And the ancestors told me this in the most loving and kind and gentlest manner. It happened through whispers and meditation. See, I tried this 10 minutes of free guided meditation with Deepak Chopra. I liked it. And so it turned into 15 minutes, and then it turned into 20 minutes, and then I started meditating alone. And then it turned into grounding exercises and mantras, and it expanded to yoga and mindfulness. And what I realized is that when I turned off all this outside noise, all these isms and institutions and expectations, I could hear my soul's desires. And I realized that most of them had not aligned with the choices I've been making. So I tapped into that internal guidance a little bit more. They say that prayer is speaking and meditation is listening. The more I listened, the more I heard. I heard not only from myself, but I heard from spirit and I heard from the ancestors. My steps became ordered. I was divinely guided. And everything from community programming ideas to writing projects to boundaries I needed to set in my relationships, I became more absolute and more confident in my choices. One of them was to end a 20-year friendship because I realized that person did not have my best interest at heart. The other was to call off my engagement a year before my wedding because I knew that if I stayed, it was only because I did not want to be a twice single mother. See, I had another son, and even though it was 14 years apart, the idea of having two baby daddies made me feel like I did when I was 19, ashamed and not good enough. But let me tell you something about those cursed messages. See, they're loud, right? They're obsessive, they're urgent, and they play on repeat. But those divinely inspired messages, they're kind and they're sweet. They're clear and they are abrupt. Because they told me that if I stayed, it would only be because I wanted the title of wife. And it wasn't worth being in an unfulfilled relationship. So I started clearing house, literally and figuratively. I put my house up for sale that I had had for 12 years because I realized that mowing lawns and replacing broken water heaters and being a landlord and shoveling snow was not my idea of the American dream. It was actually a nightmare. I was getting myself together. The messages were clear, but shame and old belief systems have a way of trying to hold on to you. And so when my son came to me again at 25 to tell me that he was going to get married, I hit him with the expectations and the shoulds. You should be focused on your career. You should be trying to establish yourself, whatever that means. It wasn't until the day of his wedding, after my yoga practice, I lay in Shavasana, the corpse pose, and as I lay on the floor with my back hitting the floor, sprawled out, I could hear those whispers again. And they said, let it go. This is not about you. This is not about him. This is about you. You don't have to carry this shame anymore. You don't have to carry the weight of these expectations. Let it go. And tears rolled down my cheeks onto the yoga mat. After Shavasana, you're encouraged to go into fetal pose often because that signifies that we can be reborn again and again. That day I was reborn once more. It was Valentine's Day, so I wrote in my son's card, not an excuse, but an explanation and an apology for unintentionally thrusting shame and expectations upon him, for repeating that generational pattern. And that day I freed him and I freed myself because he was already everything I wanted him to be. Kind, sweet, compassionate, loving, and living life on his own terms. So in freeing him, I freed myself. And I realized that I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Not because of what I've accomplished or what I've acquired, but because I was free. I am free free to make my own choices, free to leave or stay, free to show up and be my unapologetically beautiful self without fear of condemnation or judgment. These were things that were denied to my ancestors. I am Toya, the daughter of Brenda, the granddaughter of Rosalie, the second great-granddaughter of great-granddaughter of Inez, the second great-granddaughter of Rosa. Our Madrino line comes from the Fulani tribe, from ancient Mali, and I am a free Black woman.
Yes.
And I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Dear ancestors, I get it. Now I have to go back and free the others.